So you've already got your airsoft gun. You've already ditched your super old, super cheap paintball mask, and then you got your lower face mesh mask and goggles. You got your tack vest or chest rig. So what's next? What's the next upgrade from that beginner loadout? And today we'll be going over one simple mod you can do that can take you up to that next level. How's it going, guys? My name is Boaz, and today we're going to be going over a simple modification you can do to your existing airsoft gear just to make yourself a little bit more comfortable without sacrificing too much of that safety. Now, as I mentioned before, we're talking about your beginner loadouts. You already have your basic M4 AEG that you have, no optic, no nothing. Maybe you're considering a red dot, and you have that really terribly bad paintball mask, a $20 paintball mask that you buy right when you start airsoft, or maybe when you go get a rental or something at an airsoft field. It's completely covering your entire face, so if you do get shot anywhere in the face area, you're not going to get any boo-boos from that. But more importantly, it's just so thick that you can't really realistically aim down the sights on your gun. And so you're just relegated to just either firing kind of more lower on the shoulder and just kind of tracking your BBs. And you really want that sweet battlefield, that sweet Call of Duty experience where you aim down your sights. You're chasing after that. So you think that a red dot might help. You buy a red dot, uh-oh, surprise, it doesn't work. You're still having trouble getting a proper sight picture when you shoulder the rifle. So you go on YouTube, you go online, you look at all these other different airsofters, and then they have, their nice little anti-fog goggles going on with their lower face mesh mask, and you think, oh, this is it. This is where I'm going to go. This is what I'm going to do. So you pinch your pennies and you save up your dollars, and you finally get that setup of the goggles and the mask, and then you try it on your airsoft gun, and it's a lot better. It's definitely a breath of fresh air, but it's not perfect. It's not quite there yet. What do you do after that? And most people, especially nowadays, they actually end up resorting to getting something sort of like this. This is a Lancer Tactical Shadow Warrior mask, so it's a balaclava that wraps around your face, so you still get some sort of face protection. It's not going to be as protective as a complete lower mesh or, let's say, even a paintball mask, but it does cover your mouth and your nose, so that way if BBs come towards your mouth or your nose area, you're not going to shatter your teeth or crack your teeth, or you're not going to get a busted open lip or nose. It'll do that just fine, but it has a more form-fitting, stretchy balaclava material around the cheek and the face area, allowing you to get a proper cheek weld. Now, what if you don't have the money to get one of these? Or what if you just simply don't want to invest in another piece of kit and you just want to use whatever is lying around? Well, today we're going to be going over how to change this, how to turn this into something more like this. Now, before we get started, we're going to need a couple things. Well, several things actually. First and most important being, you need to get one of these mesh face masks. So if you guys don't have one of these, you still want to do the mod, I suggest picking one up. They're actually relatively pretty inexpensive. I believe you can get one probably close to about anywhere between $10 to $15 on our website. I believe this is the Emerson one or the Bravo one. It's all the same thing, guys. It's just, a piece of metal mesh wiring, kind of all crisscrossed together, woven in together, and then you have this nice stitched-in piece of cloth, so that way the sharp ends of the metal wire doesn't poke you in the face, and you got some straps. So we are going to be borrowing, or cannibalizing is the more correct term. We're going to cut it apart, and then we're going to turn it into a more minimalist style piece of mouth guard or face guard that you could wear at an airsoft game. So there's actually two major ways of doing this. One way, or the easier way I would say, is you just cut pretty much down all the way here along the front of it or the side of it, so you're basically just getting rid of the cheek protectors. That's basically what causes the problem when you shoulder your gun and you try to aim down your sights. So if you just cut these two off, and then you just fold over, you undo the stitching on the cloth over here, and you fold over and you glue everything together. Now that's going to be a lot more time economic, I guess you would say, but we're not here for that. We're going to go hardcore today. And the second option that we're going to do today is we're just going to cut this nice rectangular piece of metal here in the center, just enough to protect your mouth, your teeth, to make sure that they don't get shot out when you play airsoft. So you are going to need a couple tools here. First thing you're going to need is a pair of scissors. Now, I highly recommend you get your parents' permission before you bust out these bad boys. Make sure it's okay with them, all right? Especially if you're going to use the big boy scissors. And then you're going to need a pair of wire cutters or snippers, or little snippy snips, because we're going to be cutting the wire material. Scissors will not cut this very well, if at all, or you're going to end up damaging your scissors. Don't cut this with scissors. Get something nice like a pair of snips. And then you're going to need an X-Acto knife. You know, so this is a little safer than, you know, these scissors over here. So again, make sure you ask your parents' permission for this, but you know, you probably get this anywhere. And most importantly, just to tie everything together, you're gonna need a hot glue gun. So make sure you have that on hand. You can try using other pieces, different kinds of glue. I see some people trying using like super glue, or they've used like some of this like clear adhesive. I don't even know what to call it. Like it's just that like rubbery kind of glue that I've seen some people use, and it does work. But in my personal experience, hot glue kind of works the best. So let's go ahead and get started. So you're gonna take your little snips over here. You're gonna snip out basically each of these little metal kind of links, I guess you would say, into the shape you want. Okay, so I think we'll start here. Quick little blunder here. I decided to be a little too eager and start cutting the middle of the mask. If you guys are smarter than me, which you guys probably are, take your X-Acto knife. There's a lot of stitching that runs in between here. Now be very careful. Try not to cut towards yourself. And so you take your X-Acto knife or your box cutter, and you're just going to cut through all this stitching here. Sometimes there is going to be some glue here, so I strongly recommend being careful. Sometimes they're not stitched, they're just glued because it's cheaper. If it is glue, like in my case this is glue, you could just, oh yeah, you could just tear this bad boy right off. Alright, so now that pretty much the bare metal is exposed on this mask, it's going to make cutting a lot easier. So again, thank you Cisco for pointing that out. I was a big dum-dum. Now as you can see, I'm basically making an irreversible change to your mask. So if you are too scared to do this to your one and only mesh mask, I'd advise you either get another one, a separate one that you can do permanent damage to, or maybe if you're just really happy with your setup, which I'm assuming a lot of you guys in the comments are, we do have a surprising amount of Airsoft FUDs here in our community. Then just keep running that, you know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know what I'm saying? So you can see just making cutting a little easier. Just every time I'm making a cut here with the snips, I'm rolling the rest of the mask underneath it just to expose more of the metal wiring. And hopefully this will go by a little faster. Alright, cool. Alright, so now we are free. We are free here of the rest of the mask. As you can tell, there's a lot of sharp little edges. We will deal with that in a second. But one last thing I want to do before this is, number one, I just want to gently check test fit. Okay, so it is covering the entirety of my mouth, so I did a good job. I'm gonna cut this little nose piece off. I'm just not a fan of that, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, we are free. Okay, so now we have all these super jagged edges here. And as you can tell, because I've bent the wires around, not the straightest thing in the world, so you're going to take this time to carefully just kind of remold it, kind of rebend it to the shape of your mouth. Again, gently. Don't press it against your mouth. Gently just put it up to your face. Okay, so it is pretty comfortably just kind of arched around my mouth area, so if I do talk or communicate on the field, I'm not going to be impeded by this mask. So there's a lot of overhang here. I strongly recommend putting like some kind of tray or some kind of like paper towel or something when you do this, just so it catches all the little bits of metal, so you don't end up getting nagged at by your mother, your father, or potentially your spouse. I don't know what's a bigger headache, getting nagged at by your spouse or by your parents. So that's more or less pretty okay. Like I'm kind of just doing the little finger test here, just kind of putting my finger on this to make sure nothing's super spiky. Okay, all right. So I think we're pretty good. So as you can tell, the mask is irreversibly changed. There's no way you can ever go back. So once you make these cuts, you can't put it back together. So just keep that in mind. So now you're going to take this leftover piece of cloth, this elastic cloth that kind of protects around the wire mesh mask, and we're going to start using it. One thing I will say for right now is you're going to need to cut different strips of it. So the more you have, the better. Honestly, because you're not going to be using this again, you might as well just take off all the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Again, X-Acto knife. This time, I promise, I'll try to be safe with it. Alright, so I went ahead and I cut out another strip of the fabric around the mesh mask over here. As you can see, again, irreparably destroyed. And I have these pieces of fabric. You can also cannibalize like the straps or whatever from behind the mask. I personally didn't really want to do that. Maybe it can come in handy for something else. So something like this I probably wouldn't try to cannibalize. If you guys don't care, go right for it. But because this was already a destroyed piece of airsoft gear, I might as well just, you know, pull it off from that. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna flatten out this mesh piece over here, so it's gonna be completely or as flat as possible. So that way it's just gonna be a little easier to wrap around. And then we just want to size kind of the edges here with the fabric. So we have one long piece here that we can cut, and then you get your scissors. Now be very careful with your scissors. Again, ask your parents' permission for these scissors. Very dangerous. Just gonna snip a piece off there like that, and then we can set that aside. It's for the long side, and we could do it again for this bottom piece right here. Okay, cool. Okay, so we got rid of our excess, and now we have all these different pieces. So now the next part, we're gonna use a hot glue gun. This time being serious, be very careful, obviously, because hot glue guns are very hot. I myself have suffered through many hot glue burns because, as you can tell, something about me, I'm a very klutzy person. So again, I'm a very klutzy person, so I do encounter a lot of injuries. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm just gonna go ahead and just lay down a very thin line of hot glue whenever it wants to glue. There you are. Thin line of hot glue. I'm gonna get that first side, the first long side together. And again, be very careful because hot glue guns are, in the name, very hot. Line that up, and I'm gonna press down on this side right here. And then once the hot glue on this side starts to set, we're gonna lay another line on the other side. Now that this side has been pretty well set, I'm gonna flip over to the other side where it's not glued. I'm gonna glue that area down as well. And if you look closely here, you'll see because it's a mesh material, the glue kind of leaks through. Almost looks like a forbidden mozzarella cheese, if you know what I'm saying. So now that side is secure. I'm gonna go ahead and get the other long side here. Put on nice dollops of hot glue. There you go. There you go. And then lay down this side right here. Oh. There you go. All right. You might wonder, like, well, Boaz, why is it so important that you put these pieces of cloth here? I mean, like, I'm not a wimp, you know. I'm not gonna complain about having little spiky bits in my mouth, but actually, it serves a more important purpose as like pieces of cloth like this are actually there to absorb moisture from like sweat. So when you guys are playing hard and you guys are sweating hard, running metal against like wet metal against your mouth actually gets very irritating after a while, and you will start to chafe. And the reason why I know this is because I tried doing that in the past, where I decided not to care about wrapping this in fabric, and I ended up with a very badly chafed mouth. So don't be like me, kids. Now with all 4 sides of the mesh mouth protector complete with hot glue, obviously I'm not the cleanest hot gluer in the world. You're gonna want to see on these corners there's a little bit of overhang, or where the cloth just simply doesn't reach, just due to human error. I would actually like to put a bead of hot glue around the corners just to kind of reinforce it, because the edges are sort of where everything starts to go. So I'm just gonna put a dollop of hot glue on each corner. And then you're gonna want these to dry. And then once we're back, we're gonna do the final step, or the second to last step actually. And that is to basically burn off any of the frayed edges on the fabric. Now, the final step to completing your little minimalist mesh mask is to actually burn off all the frayed edges where you cut the nylon. Because everything's kind of woven together, sometimes you have little stray strands of cloth and material kind of fraying out there, and eventually that's gonna kind of unwind itself. So you're gonna need a lighter. Again, be very careful since you're dealing with fire. Please don't do this next to like flammable materials or anything. It doesn't take much, guys, so just you want to just have it just touch the tip of your flame here, and you're just gonna just kind of more or less kind of run it through like that, and that should be enough to kind of melt the synthetic fabric and kind of have it all melt together. Okay, so I think with that we're pretty much almost there. So the last step is obviously to bend it back to the shape of your mouth. So you're going to want to start at the middle of the mesh, and with your thumbs kind of press out. You don't directly want to bend the cloth area just because that's going to strain the glue. Small adjustments go a long way, guys, so just gently just press down with the thumb like this to get it into the shape that you want it. Okay, we're almost there. Let's run this. Okay, so I think we're pretty much done. So that is pretty much how you turn a mesh lower face mask into something more minimal like this. I have seen different people run these things in different ways. I have seen some people, they will attach paracord or bungee cord and basically make like a little face harness, pretty much something similar to what's already existing here on this mesh mask. And they just run it against their bare face, or they run it up to their helmet, they strap it onto their helmet. And so every time they put on their helmet, the mesh mask is there protecting their mouth. Personally for me, I just think the simpler solution is just to get something like a balaclava, like this guy over here. And I believe on our website, we still do have a good amount of, I believe it's a classic army balaclava. That's probably the cheapest, most cost-effective balaclava out there on the market that does a job. But I mean, you can find balaclavas pretty much everywhere, and we have tons of options on our website as well. You basically just put on your balaclava, and then you just slip this guy underneath your balaclava, so that way it doesn't necessarily really look like you're wearing any mesh face pro underneath. That pretty much wraps up on how to modify your existing Airsoft mesh face mask into something more minimalist like this. Now, this is not the end-all be-all solution to how to protect your face on the airsoft field. In fact, we still do recommend you guys at least have something like this, like a mesh mask, out when you play on the field, just because it offers a complete lower face protection without sacrificing your visibility or your functionality with your airsoft gun while in the field, as opposed to like a cheap paintball mask. If you guys don't necessarily agree also with the shape on how I cut this out, again, it's completely up to you. If you guys want to have a little bit more cheek protection, make it wider, you can. If you want to have the nose bridge, again, you can also do that as well. It's just going to take a little bit more time and patience to wrap the borders of your cutout in the fabric material. For me personally, I just want to keep it as light and minimalist as possible, so that way I can just protect my mouth and my teeth, because I just don't want to lose a tooth when I play airsoft outside. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys personally run something like this? Is this something that you guys are interested in? Because I do believe several years ago there were some companies that did offer a solution like this out on the market, but we don't really see that many of them anymore. So let me know what you guys think down there. And if you guys like what you see, make sure you hit the subscribe button, as well as liking the video, so we can prove to the YouTube algorithm that we're not all that bad. And if you guys want to win some free cool airsoft guns, make sure to check out Cisco's live stream giveaways every Tuesday and Thursday nights, where he does video games and chats with and hangs out with you guys, as well as giving away airsoft guns. So this is Boaz from Airsoft GI, and we'll see you next time.
Oh man, I really gotta go to the bathroom.
Come in.
Oh, what?
The door's unlocked. Come in. Come on in.
What the? Oh my, Boaz, what are you doing?
See, I don't know if you guys know, but Cisco is actually doing a live stream giveaway every Tuesday and Thursday.
I know. It's my live stream giveaway.
Standard time, okay? If you guys want a chance to win free airsoft guns, alright? Sometimes we give away more than one airsoft gun, right? But
Boy,
all you need to do is just place an order at airsoftgi.com at $20 or more, okay? So basically, it needs to be $20 before shipping and taxes in order for you to qualify, okay? And then you tune into the live stream, and if Cisco calls your name, you will win a bunch of free cool airsoft guns. So there's more details down below on the link, and make sure to check it out, and hopefully you guys win.
Boaz, I'll leave. I'll go to the other bathroom.
You know what? Why don't you join me? Come on, join me. Here, I'll make some room. I'll make some room for you right here.
I'm fine. I gotta go.